Okay, welcome back, guys. I'm excited to get into this lesson. This is where we're going to officially get into what we can actually do in Photoshop. We're done with Bridge, we're done with Camera Raw. We've discussed the interface, and it's time to start working with the actual program Photoshop. Okay, so we are going to go over brushes. Now, in Photoshop, what is a brush? What qualifies as a brush? This is kind of a trick question because if you look over here at our tool panel, this is the brush tool, okay? But it is not the only brush in Photoshop. And as we go throughout this lesson, you're gonna see that there are a lot of different tools right over here on the left in this little tool area that work the exact same way as the brush tool, okay? So let me show you how that works real quick. As I mentioned in the interface video, when we select a tool right here on the left, it changes our options up here in the properties menu, okay? With the brush selected, we can come up here to this little drop down and we can adjust the size of our brush. So this makes it really small. We can increase it. That's really big. Increase it. We can change the hardness. What is hardness? Well, hardness is how hard the edge of the brush is. And let me just show you an example of that real quick. So this is at 100% hardness. So that's 100% hard brush, okay? If we change it to 0% hardness, that is what it will look like. And you can see the difference pretty clearly. It feathers out on a 0% hardness into a very soft brush. So something to note on this that will make your life so much easier with Photoshop. We have the bracket keys right by the letter P on the keyboard. And this will change the size of our brush for us. So the right key will make our brush bigger, left key will make it smaller. Okay, and you can clearly see that working just like this, okay? Important to keep that in mind. You will use it all the time. It's way better than coming up here and changing the size of the brush. Okay, also something to note, this is just a really quick tip. When you click on this box, it's not just gonna the best way to get rid of this box is just click enter to accept the settings and then start drawing. You don't want to click away or else you get what I just had. If you click away, it's going to make a little dot even though you don't want it. So pretty basic, but yeah, just a quick little tip. Hit the enter key to accept the options, okay? Now up here, if you use some sort of a drawing tablet, this right here will allow for pressure sensitivity when you're using your tablet. So just keep that in mind. I actually don't use a tablet a whole ton in Photoshop. I use that more in Illustrator. So if you have a tablet and are interested in using that, check out my Illustrator course. It's just like this. We'll go over Illustrator in a couple of phases, and it's really great. But that's where you adjust. That's where you would turn that on right here. Let's discuss this real quick. The opacity setting is right here. So what is opacity? Well, let me hurry and change this brush setting. We're gonna go 100% hard brush. So that's 100% hard. And what we're going to do is we are going to change the opacity down to, let's say, 40%. And we can see that we can see through that brush stroke a little bit. That's because the opacity has gone down. And opacity is how see-through the brush stroke is, or the image, or whatever it is we're working with. We can change the opacity on everything that we work on in Photoshop, okay? So another thing, quick keyboard shortcut, Control or Command Z will take you back. With the new update of Photoshop, it's just Control or Command Z. if you don't have it completely updated, it will be Control Alt or Command Option Z to go back multiple steps. But like I said, the newest updates have made Control Z default to go multiple steps backward. Okay. So what are other tools that use the brush settings? Well, quite a few of them actually. The eraser tool right here, this is also considered a Photoshop brush, okay, because it works the exact same way. You'll notice that most of these settings for the eraser tool are the same as when we have the brush tool selected. Okay, so go to eraser and we can erase. That's a soft brush. We can change the hardness. That's a hard brush. Okay. So something as well to keep in mind. Oops. Oh, my apologies. So if we hold, this is just a keyboard shortcut as well, Control and Option on, then we can hold those while we have a brush selected. Up and down is going to change the hardness of the brush. When we move our mouse up, it's going to go down. It's going to be less hard. When we go down, it's going to be more hard. And then side to side, we'll make it bigger or smaller. Okay, so again, that's Control and Option. We let go to keep those settings, and that's a really easy way to change our brush size and hardness without having to come up here. That's for any tool that we are using that uses brush settings, which is quite a few of them. Like I said, the eraser, the brush tool, clone stamp, this art history brush tool, the healing brush tool. There are just so many tools that use these settings. So use this video as a reference if you run into issues with brush settings. They're not very hard to get the hang of, but it is going to be very important to understand the basics of brushes. Okay, so like I say in every video, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. There are the forums on the blog that you can definitely drop comments in. Subscribe and follow my blog, and we will learn Photoshop together. We'll see you in the next lesson.